Welcome to our podcast. So we're starting a podcast.
Yeah, we've been toying with this idea for a little while.
Yep.
I had the idea driving home one day, and I ambushed Jordynne with it. And I was like, I have this amazing idea, and I think you'll like it. And I'm just like, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, duh. Sounds like a great idea. Like, how could I say no? Yeah, we've both been involved in like community building and relationship building, and this is, I think, the perfect way for us to share not only our story, like our stories, but the stories of so many amazing people in our community. And I don't know, I think this is going to be really fun and just a cool way for us to just talk about stuff we're interested in.
Yeah, we were already having amazing conversations on our own, and we're like, we should share this.
Yeah.
So here you go.
So here you go.
You're welcome.
You are so welcome. You're welcome. You know, honestly, like there's so many times that we'll be talking and I was like, man, I wish I was recording this, you know? We have so many great insights together. You know, we've both been on our own journeys, which we'll talk about. This kind of knowledge that we've gained through our own careers, through working with mentors and therapists and things like that, I think it should be shared so we can all talk about it together. And we're hoping that we'll get some great comments and that you listeners will teach us lots of things as well. I really want this to be collaborative and like an experience for all of us to learn from each other. So wherever you're watching or listening, I hope you can DM us, leave us comments, and we can all kind of share our knowledge together. That's like always been one of my goals, is to just like continue communicating with people and learning from people. And I think this is a really fun way of doing that. I think one thing that you said that really stood out to me was the shameless part of it. And why that is so important is because we felt so much shame throughout our lives for being sensitive people. And it's something that has been used against us, used to, you know, either like put us down or make fun of us, or just to stifle our uniqueness and our creativity and our joy. Because being a sensitive person is not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be really connected to yourself, really connected to the world around you, really aware of what's going on and how it impacts you and how it impacts other people. I think that's such a beautiful thing. But for whatever reason, some people don't vibe with that and see somebody who's sensitive and really in tune with these kinds of things and wants to shut that down. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's something that we have both felt a lot of shame around. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Definitely. Growing up, I was always told that I was too sensitive. And whenever I would get criticism or feedback, even if it wasn't negative, I would take it 100% personally. There was something wrong with me. And I was always feeling like, why do I feel this way? There's something wrong with me. Like, why am I crying all the time? So I think it's just owning that story and that childhood that we had. It's like, there's nothing to be ashamed about because I feel more than other people. Like you said, it's a beautiful thing.
Totally. That question, why am I crying all the time? It's so interesting because now as an adult with an understanding of mental health and like spiritual, emotional health, and like how the somatic experience of crying, how important and beautiful that is. Now, when I feel the need to cry, obviously there's contexts in which, you know, that's maybe not the right time, but for the most part, like 90% of the time, if I need to cry, I let myself cry, and I always feel better after.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on, cry some more. Keep going.
I know, like sometimes when you're in that mood, you just need to put on a sad song, or, you know, talk to somebody who is close to you and like they can say one thing that's like supportive. I was going through something and somebody close to me said something like that just hit the right way and was like the exact right amount of validation and support, and I just started sobbing and I was like, yes. I don't know, it just feels so good because your body is crying out to you for attention and support, and you showing it that support and that safety to be able to let it out is so important and so beautiful. But as kids, when we were super sensitive people and something upset us and we cried, and I'm sure many of you can relate, adults around us probably, mostly, didn't know what to do with that. And so, you probably got responses like, don't cry. It's like, okay, well, I am, like, it's a physiological response. So what do you want me to do? Stifle that? Or like, what are you crying about? Or like, if you had some really harsh people in your life, I'll give you something to cry about. Like, that's like, okay, take a step back for a second. Like, this is literally a child with an underdeveloped nervous system. Like, they need kindness and support, but a lot of us didn't get that.
Yeah, and now there's actually research showing that suppressing our crying and suppressing our emotions, it's basically the same thing as suppressing your immune system. And people that go through these suppressions for their entire lives actually end up as sick adults. Which I think can tie back into why we're starting this podcast. Like, we're starting this podcast for our younger selves. Like, I mean, that's how I feel about it. Like, I wish that I had all of these resources when I was a child to tell me that I was fine, I'm normal, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, to teach me this and that, just, I guess, normalize it more than anything. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. That's why I feel so called out to, like, continue speaking online, because I wish I had it.
Yeah, me too. And a lot of the content that I share, I've really started to come into a realization, because, for a long time I was hesitant to share like what was truly like on my heart. But lately I've felt very called, like you said, to share, and it's for a younger version of myself, for others who need to know that you're not alone, that you're normal, like you're perfect the way you are. You don't have to change because somebody told you or because society told you that the way you are is wrong. So I think this is going to be a really beautiful way for us to kind of offer that to the world, and kind of show people that that they're not alone.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to touch on. Like, because we are speaking to younger versions of ourselves, I think it goes to show that, like, everyone goes through similar experiences. And when you're experiencing it for yourself, you feel so alone and so isolated, and that drives you, like, further down the hole. But if you just exposed yourself to more people and more resources, you'd realize that you weren't alone. Your experiences are not unique, and other people have survived it and actually are thriving now, and it's possible for you too.
I love that.
Let's introduce ourselves. Do you want to go first?
So my name is Jordynne. I am a multifaceted, sensitive human being. And I guess I'd like to kind of go through kind of my life experiences that led me here, because I think that there's been so many different things I've been through that led me to exactly where I am today. And maybe my very unique journey of getting here will kind of inspire other people that you don't need to have a very cookie cutter career path in order to find the kind of success that you want in your life. When I was a kid, growing up, and it makes sense to me now why I was so in tune to other people and really sensitive. I always wanted to be a doctor, and I think that was because I was interested in helping people, because I was so deeply attuned to my own feelings and other people around me. I wanted to, be a catalyst for positive change in the world. And of course, when we're kids, we don't really have that many ideas of what a career would look like for us in the future. Like a lot of us have, like doctor, lawyer, vet, teacher, all of these, which are all obviously wonderful jobs, but there's so many more than just these jobs. But for me, I picked doctor, and so I wanted to be a psychiatrist specifically. I remember thinking in grade 6 that I wanted to be a specialist, go to med school, go into residency. Like, I'm not sure, like, I don't know. It's just funny looking back at the little gifted child who ultimately just wanted to be good enough. You know, I think that all of these career choices that I was thinking of making were ultimately because I wanted to help people. But I think deeper than that, it was like, okay, if I can do this, if I can help people in this way and have this prestigious job, then I will be good enough. Then all of my potential won't be wasted. Then all of my giftedness will be used for good. You know, because when I was in grade 3, I did an IQ test. They told me I was gifted. I moved on to the gifted program. And as a young kid who's already really sensitive, being told that you're gifted is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not always a positive thing, because I took that and went, oh my God, I need to do something with this. Like, if I don't do something really amazing with this gift, then my life will be wasted or something. And so, my journey through kind of wanting to go to medical school was very, very stressful. I grew up really, really high strung, really with a lot of perfectionist and a lot of people-pleasing tendencies. And in grade school, I was bullied as well. So when I left grade school and moved on to high school, I carried that people-pleasing with me, and I carried that sensitivity even harder, because I knew how where my sensitivity had gotten me. It had gotten me bullied. It had led to negative social experiences. So I was like, okay, let me be the most agreeable person that has ever lived and just be friends with everybody and just be neutral. And so I think that all of these experiences really led me to kind of where I am today. As hard as a lot of them were, and as traumatizing as a lot of them were for me, I think that they led me to a place where I can empathize with people in a different way, and where I can share my unique experiences. So anyways, I went on to get my bachelor's degree in neuroscience because I wanted to go to medical school, but I was also really interested in psychology and wanted to be a psychiatrist. So it kind of felt like the perfect course, the perfect, degree for me. So did my bachelor's in neuroscience, and it was a stressful degree, but I remember the times that I loved the most were studying psychology, not a surprise at all because it's still something I'm really very interested in, and connecting with other students. And one thing that was kind of a building block to where I am today was that while I was in my program, I started holding a lot of bake sales, and we would raise money for charity. It was really fun. You know, at one point we did a periodic table of cupcakes, which was really cool. It was just a way for me to community build with my friends in my program, raise money for charity, which was an interest of mine, you know, giving back, helping people, sharing in fun experiences with my friends that were also leading to a unique and positive end result, which was raising money. I was never really a partier. You know, I still went out sometimes, but my friend time was really enjoying that time with my friends, community building. And anyways, all that experience baking kind of led me to what I'll talk about when I get to my entrepreneurship journey. But then I moved on to do my master's in neuroscience. When I first applied to med school, I didn't get in. I did my master's, and then after my master's, I was really burnt out. I really struggled in my master's degree. And at the time, I didn't know, but I've had undiagnosed ADHD my whole life. I was actually just diagnosed at the age of 29 a few months ago. So it makes sense why I was struggling, but throughout my master's degree, I deeply struggled. And after that, I needed a break from higher education. And then about a year later, I started my business. that I still have going today. So I started my business Plant Joy in 2018. We make vegan gourmet donuts, and now we have a storefront, and there's going to be lots more exciting things happening this year, in the new year. And I just I don't know. I think finding the spark of entrepreneurship and letting it lead me was a really special part of that journey, because it allowed me to meet people in different ways, explore entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship has been a huge personal development journey for me. I've had to really revamp the way I think about myself and get into healthier habits to take better care of myself in order to take better care of my business. So yeah, that's my entrepreneurship journey. I've been an entrepreneur now for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years in April 2023. So that's very exciting. And in 2017, I came out of the closet, came out as gay. At this moment, I identify as a lesbian. And that has also been a really beautiful part of my journey. And so, over the years, I've learned to love my sensitivity, love all of the parts of me. It's taken a lot of inner work to get to this place of self-love. And I'm really excited to share that with you all. So that is my life in not so much of a nutshell. And Tina.
I feel like you kind of knew exactly what direction you were headed, and you just kind of bam, that way. So my life, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, what do I do? Where do I go? I was also a gifted child. I didn't know what to do after high school, so I did what I knew, which was go for a bachelor degree in biology, because I was good at biology, I excelled at science, and that was just the next step. And I hated every part of it. And I actually still quite regret spending 4 years in university. I think if I just started my entrepreneurship journey earlier, I feel like that would have been much more valuable. The only thing for me that came out of university that was valuable are my friendships, which I feel like I probably would have made either way, being in such a small town. But so I am also an entrepreneur. I also have ADHD. Technically, I'm not diagnosed, but my doctor gave me the medication, and I did not like the medication. So I have no reason to get diagnosed if I'm not going to get medication. But I believe I have ADHD. And if I believe it, then it's true.
Self-diagnosis is valid.
Yeah, I mean, all the signs are there. But so I'm an entrepreneur in my family, and we have a couple of family businesses where I have a hand in all of them. And as you know, as an entrepreneur, that's basically the job title. I am manager, I'm hire, I'm floor sweeper sometimes. You just do everything. So I have lots of experience in business, and I've also previously run my own business. I used to have a restaurant in downtown Windsor, and it was a Vietnamese restaurant. I also love cooking, and I'm kind of taking all of this past experience, and I'm building my own business now, which is meditation and cooking, because I think those two aspects of life are so important. The self-awareness and how you feed yourself, and mastering those two is how you truly create long-lasting health in your body and in your mind. So that's what I'm teaching right now. I also love community building, and I think we talked about that briefly. I put on 2 TEDx Windsor events where I brought in speakers. I was the executive director, kind of planned the whole big vision of it. That was probably more valuable than my university degree, honestly. I met amazing people. I learned how to put an event together, and just the people that I met there have been pretty vital in the changes that I've made in my life since then. Yeah, we're both sensitive ADHD entrepreneurs. we like watercolors,
Yes.
and we like ice baths.
We do,
That's
yeah.
the sum of us.
Yeah. It's so funny because I didn't even know that you got a biology degree, and it's just really interesting how unique our paths have both been, but also how many parallels there are. And I'm sure there's many more parallels that we don't even know about each other yet. But that we both grew up as gifted children, both went on to get a biology degree. I would agree with what you said about university. It's funny, like, university is so glorified in our society, and people look down upon you if you go to college instead of university, but I know plenty of people who've gone to college for something specific, tangible thing that they can actually do with their hands, like an actual skill that they can...
Nursing.
Yes.
Go to nursing school, become a nurse. Cool.
Yeah.
What am I doing with a biology degree?
What am I doing with a neuroscience degree? I mean, and the things that I have taken away from my degree are the psychology courses only, pretty much. Because the biology courses, it's not like they didn't teach us about, like, our bodies and how they work, like, in a way where we could tangibly use that information in our day-to-day lives. Like, there's nothing about the cell that I use on a day-to-day basis. But psychology courses I do.
I had to memorize the scientific name of 40 different species of fish and memorize where their gills were and, like, what kind of eyeballs they had. Like, why?
It's only relevant if you plan on being a fish researcher, which is totally a great career path if you really love fish. But if you don't, what is the point?
I also had to do the same for birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so back to the podcast.
Yeah.
This podcast is basically a conversation for you guys based on, like, sensitivity and, like, what we've learned, how to manage life as ADHD entrepreneurs. What else?
Yeah. I think one of the goals for me for this podcast will be for us to talk about things that we've learned and tools that have helped us. I think that will be a really useful component of it. Like, I'm really excited to dive into specific topics. We can talk more about meditation. One thing that I am also really excited by is to actually use my degree and what I've learned about reading scientific papers and start diving into more of the research of specific tools that might be helpful for different mental health conditions for people with ADHD. I'd love to dive more into that, look up some of these articles and then discuss them, and even trying out, even if there's unique tools that have been suggested or tools that have been studied in certain scientific papers, we can test them out and then come back to the podcast and report to you what we've learned, whether we find them helpful for us. So I don't know, I think that there's so many different directions that we can take this.
We should rename this to the Shamelessly Sensitive Show.
We should, because it's really cute, because it's like alliteration.
Yeah, okay, I love it. And then also, we know so many amazing people, and I'm so excited to get them on here to really let them tell their stories, like, more than just their entrepreneurship journey, but, like, what happened, like, what hurdles did they have to jump, what, like, beliefs they had to, leave behind and, change your identity and just become someone else so that you can, like, lead this life that you want to live.
Yeah, totally. I think so many, the wonderful thing about being in the entrepreneurship space is that you get firsthand contact, whether it's through meeting people at pop-ups, whether it's through, like you said, organizing the TEDx event. You meet really unique and amazing people, and I think it'll be really exciting for us, like you said, to expand upon not only their entrepreneurship journey, but their life journeys. And I'm really curious to hear more about people's experience with mental health and mental illness, and hear about maybe how they've learned to either overcome certain things or manage them in their lives. Like, in my experience, I have had depression on and off for about 10 years, and it's not something that I try to keep as part of my identity, but it is the reality of something that I've experienced for a number of years. And so one thing that I'm hoping to explore more is talking about tools that have helped me, but I'm also really curious to hear from other people because I'm sure that I'm not alone in that experience. And I'd love to hear about what has helped them get through really hard times. And I think that will be really valuable to share with everybody as well.
I'm so excited.
Me too. How do you end a podcast?
That's it. That's the end.
Thanks for listening.
No, we're both very, very excited about this, and I think it's going to be amazing. That's it, I guess.
I'm really the most excited to see how this unfolds and to talk to cool people and just vibe.
Yeah, we're going to upload every other week on Wednesday, so we'll see you next Wednesday, right?
See you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.